Denzel Washington was 30 seconds away from being shot by police officers who thought he was a dangerous criminal, attacking an innocent man outside Roosevelt Elementary School in downtown Los Angeles. The Academy Award-winning actor, beloved by millions for his powerful performances and moral characters, found himself face down on the concrete with 3 officers pointing guns at his head, screaming commands while terrified parents watched in horror. But what the responding officers didn't know was that the man they were treating as a violent assailant had just prevented the most devastating school shooting in California history. It was 2:47 p.m. on a sunny Tuesday afternoon when Denzel Washington pulled his black Mercedes into the parking lot of Roosevelt Elementary School to pick up his friend's 8-year-old daughter, Maya, whose regular babysitter had called in sick. Denzel had offered to help out, something he did occasionally for close friends when his schedule allowed. As one of Hollywood's most respected actors and a father himself, he understood the trust his friends placed in him and took the responsibility seriously. Roosevelt Elementary was letting out for the day, and the usual chaos of pickup time was in full swing. Parents lined the sidewalks, children ran toward waiting cars, and crossing guards directed traffic with their bright orange vests and stop signs. Denzel parked near the school's main entrance and stepped out of his car, immediately recognizing several parents who waved and smiled when they saw the famous actor. It was a normal, peaceful afternoon in a middle-class neighborhood where nothing exciting ever happened. But as Denzel walked toward the school's front doors, something caught his attention that made his blood run cold. A young man in a dark hoodie was walking across the playground with purpose, carrying what appeared to be a large duffel bag. The man's body language was wrong, too focused, too determined, moving against the flow of children and parents who were all heading toward the exits. Most concerning, Denzel could see the outline of what looked like rifle barrels protruding from the partially open bag. Denzel's mind immediately flashed to his research for his role in Man on Fire, where he had spent weeks with security experts, learning to recognize potential threats and dangerous situations. The training had been so thorough that these warning signs were now permanently etched in his memory. This wasn't a parent carrying sports equipment or a maintenance worker with tools. This was someone approaching a school full of children with weapons, and no one else seemed to notice. Without hesitation, Denzel began moving toward the suspicious figure, his heart pounding as he calculated the distance and timing. The man in the hoodie was approximately 50 yards from the school's main entrance, where at least 30 children were still emerging from the building. If Denzel was right about what he was seeing, he had perhaps 60 seconds before the situation turned into an unimaginable tragedy that would devastate hundreds of families and shock the nation. But as Denzel quickened his pace, he faced a terrible dilemma. If he was wrong, he would be assaulting an innocent person in front of dozens of witnesses, including children. His career, reputation, and freedom would be destroyed by a mistake. But if he was right and did nothing, children would die while he stood by and watched. For Denzel Washington, a man who had built his life and career on playing characters who stood up for what was right, there was really no choice at all. The man in the hoodie had stopped walking and was now fumbling with his bag, clearly preparing to remove something from inside. Denzel could see his hands moving frantically, and the metallic glint of weapons was becoming more obvious. Around them, parents continued their normal conversations, completely unaware that death was about to visit their children's school. Denzel realized he was the only person in position to prevent what was about to happen. "Hey!" Denzel shouted, breaking into a full sprint toward the gunman. "Stop right there." His commanding voice, the same one that had delivered powerful speeches in countless films, cut through the afternoon chatter and caused several parents to look up in confusion. The man in the hoodie spun around, his eyes wide with surprise and rage at being discovered. For a split second, Denzel saw the face of pure evil, someone who had come to this elementary school with the intention of murdering children. What happened next unfolded in slow motion. The gunman dropped his bag and reached inside, clearly going for a weapon. Denzel, still sprinting at full speed, launched himself through the air in a tackle that would have made his high school football coach proud. The two men collided with tremendous force, sending them both crashing to the ground just 20 yards from the school's entrance. The impact was so violent that it could be heard across the entire playground. The scene immediately erupted into chaos. Parents began screaming, children started crying, and everyone began running in different directions. From their perspective, they had just witnessed a famous actor violently assault what appeared to be an innocent young man outside their children's school. Several parents immediately pulled out their phones to call 911, reporting that Denzel Washington had gone crazy and was attacking people at Roosevelt Elementary. Mrs. Jennifer Martinez, a parent waiting to pick up her twin boys, was one of the first to call police. "There's been an assault at Roosevelt Elementary School," she told the 911 dispatcher, her voice shaking with adrenaline. "Denzel Washington just tackled some kid for no reason. The kid wasn't doing anything wrong, and now they're fighting on the ground. You need to send officers immediately." Her call was one of 7 similar reports that flooded the emergency dispatch system within 90 seconds. On the ground, Denzel was struggling to keep the gunman pinned while simultaneously trying to prevent him from reaching the weapons in his bag. The young man was stronger than he looked, and was fighting with the desperate fury of someone whose carefully planned attack had been disrupted. "Let me go!" the gunman screamed. "You don't understand what you're doing!" But Denzel held on, using every ounce of his strength to keep this dangerous individual away from the school full of children. "Everyone get back!" Denzel shouted to the gathering crowd of parents and children. "Get the kids inside the school and call the police." But his words only added to the confusion. To the witnesses, it appeared that the famous actor was the aggressor, telling people to call police on himself while continuing to assault an innocent victim. Several brave fathers began approaching, clearly intending to help what they believed was a young man being attacked by a celebrity who had lost his mind. Officer Rebecca Chen and her partner, Officer Mike Rodriguez, were the first to respond to the multiple 911 calls about a violent assault at Roosevelt Elementary. They arrived expecting to find a typical school pickup dispute that had escalated, possibly involving an angry parent or a domestic situation. They definitely weren't expecting to find one of America's most beloved actors rolling around on the ground in what appeared to be an unprovoked attack on a young man. "LAPD, everyone step back," Officer Chen commanded, as she and Rodriguez jumped out of their patrol car with weapons drawn. The scene before them was confusing and chaotic. Denzel Washington, sweating and breathing heavily, was pinning a young man to the ground while a crowd of agitated parents shouted conflicting information about what had happened. The situation looked exactly like what the 911 callers had reported: a celebrity assault case. "Sir, release him immediately and step away," Officer Rodriguez ordered, pointing his service weapon at Denzel. The actor looked up, his eyes wide with urgency and frustration. "Officers, you don't understand," Denzel said, still holding the struggling gunman. "This man has weapons in that bag. He was approaching the school with guns. I'm not attacking him. I'm stopping him from shooting children." His words sounded desperate, almost frantic, exactly like someone who was trying to justify an irrational, violent outburst. Officer Chen quickly assessed the scene. She saw a famous actor making wild claims about weapons and school shootings, while physically restraining what appeared to be a teenager who was crying and asking for help. She saw a bag on the ground that looked like ordinary sports equipment. She saw dozens of witnesses who were all telling the same story. Denzel Washington had attacked an innocent person for no apparent reason. The evidence seemed overwhelming and clear-cut. "Mr. Washington, I need you to release him right now and put your hands behind your back," Chen ordered firmly. "You're under arrest for assault and battery." Denzel's heart sank as he realized that the police weren't going to listen to his explanation. But even more terrifying, he could see that the gunman was smiling slightly, understanding that the authorities were about to release him to continue his planned attack on the school. "Officers, please," Denzel pleaded as he slowly released his grip on the gunman, who immediately began crying louder and claiming he had been attacked while walking to visit his sister who worked at the school. "Before you arrest me, please just look in that bag. I'm begging you to check what's in that bag before you let him go." But Officer Rodriguez was already moving to handcuff Denzel, following standard protocol for securing the apparent aggressor in an assault case. As the handcuffs clicked into place around Denzel's wrists, several parents applauded, believing that justice was being served. "Thank God you got here so quickly," Mrs. Martinez told Officer Chen. "He just went crazy and started attacking that poor kid. We were all so scared. You never know what celebrities might do when they snap." The witness statements were consistent and damning, painting a clear picture of unprovoked celebrity violence. But as Officer Chen began reading Denzel his Miranda rights, something nagged at her about the situation. Despite being arrested for a violent crime, Denzel remained calm and respectful, continuously asking the officers to examine the bag rather than protesting his innocence or demanding special treatment. His behavior didn't match that of someone who had just committed a violent assault in a moment of rage or mental breakdown. Meanwhile, the gunman, who had identified himself as 19-year-old Marcus Thompson, was playing his role perfectly. He thanked the officers for protecting him, claimed he had been walking to meet his sister who was a teacher at the school, and expressed bewilderment about why the famous actor had attacked him. "I think he might have mistaken me for someone else," Thompson said, wiping tears from his eyes. "I was just carrying my sister's sports equipment to her car." Officer Rodriguez, who had 20 years of experience and had seen thousands of assault cases, noticed something that bothered him about Thompson's story. Most assault victims were either angry at their attackers or traumatized by the experience. Thompson seemed almost pleased, despite his tears. More importantly, Rodriguez realized that no one had actually verified Thompson's claim about having a sister who worked at the school. "Mr. Thompson," Rodriguez said carefully, "which teacher is your sister? We should probably notify her about what happened and make sure she knows you're okay." For the first time since the incident began, Thompson hesitated. She's new," he stammered. "I don't remember her exact classroom number. She just started working here recently." His answer was vague and evasive, raising Rodriguez's suspicions further. Officer Chen decided to follow protocol by examining the bag that had been at the center of Denzel's claims. "Mr. Thompson, I'm going to need to look through this bag to make sure there's nothing dangerous inside," she announced. It was a routine safety measure, but Thompson's reaction was immediate and telling. "You can't search my stuff without a warrant," he protested, his demeanor suddenly shifting from grateful victim to defensive suspect. "Sir, you're not under arrest, so we're not searching you," Chen explained patiently. "But there's been an allegation that this bag contains weapons, so for everyone's safety, including yours, I need to verify that it contains only sports equipment like you claimed." Thompson's eyes darted frantically between the officers, clearly calculating whether to run or continue with his story. His behavior was becoming more suspicious by the second. As Chen reached for the bag's zipper, Thompson made a desperate decision. "Fine," he shouted, lunging toward the bag. "You want to see what's inside? I'll show you." But instead of cooperating with the search, he was clearly trying to reach something specific inside the bag, something that would prove Denzel had been right all along. Officer Rodriguez immediately tackled Thompson, preventing him from reaching whatever he was going for. With Thompson now restrained, Officer Chen opened the bag completely. What she found inside made her blood run cold and immediately vindicated every word of Denzel's seemingly impossible story. The bag contained 2 semi-automatic rifles, 4 loaded magazines, a handgun, and a handwritten manifesto detailing Thompson's plan to make Roosevelt Elementary famous by conducting a mass shooting that would kill as many children as possible. Jesus Christ, Chen whispered, her hands shaking as she read the first few lines of the manifesto. The document outlined Thompson's grievances against society, his desire to become infamous, and his specific plan to wait until dismissal time when the maximum number of children would be in the hallways and playground. According to his own writings, Denzel had tackled him just minutes before he planned to begin his attack. Officer Rodriguez immediately called for backup and a bomb squad while Chen urgently radioed dispatch. Control, we need every available unit at Roosevelt Elementary immediately. We have a potential mass shooting situation that was just prevented. Repeat, we have confirmed weapons and a manifesto indicating a planned school shooting attack. The radio chatter brought dozens of additional officers, FBI agents, and emergency responders racing toward the school. As the scope of what had almost happened became clear, Officer Chen walked over to Denzel, who was still handcuffed in the back of the patrol car. "Mr. Washington," she said, her voice filled with amazement and gratitude, "I owe you the biggest apology of my career. You just saved the lives of hundreds of children, and we arrested you for it." She immediately removed his handcuffs and helped him out of the police car. The transformation in the crowd was instantaneous and dramatic. Parents who had been applauding Denzel's arrest just minutes earlier were now staring in shock as they realized what had really happened. Mrs. Martinez, who had been one of the first to call 911 reporting Denzel as an attacker, approached him with tears in her eyes. "Mr. Washington, I'm so sorry. You saved my boys' lives and I called the police on you. I don't know how to apologize for that." Word spread quickly through the crowd of parents about what Denzel had prevented. Children who had been evacuated into the school were brought back outside to reunite with their families. But now every parent understood that without Denzel's intervention, this reunion might never have happened. The playground that had been filled with screaming and chaos now became a place of tearful gratitude and overwhelming relief. FBI agent Sarah Mitchell arrived on scene to take control of the investigation. After reviewing Thompson's manifesto and examining the weapons, she confirmed that this had been a meticulously planned attack that would have resulted in massive casualties. According to his writings, Thompson had been planning this for 6 months. Agent Mitchell told the assembled officers. He had studied the school's layout, dismissal procedures, and security measures. This would have been devastating. Agent Mitchell personally thanked Denzel for his actions, explaining that his quick thinking and willingness to act had prevented what could have been the deadliest school shooting in American history. "Mr. Washington, your decision to tackle an armed suspect, knowing you might be wrong and knowing it could destroy your reputation, represents the highest form of courage and civic responsibility," she said. "You embody the heroes you play in your films." The body camera footage from Officers Chen and Rodriguez became crucial evidence in the case, but it also served as a powerful reminder of how quickly situations can be misunderstood. The footage showed Denzel's calm cooperation throughout his arrest, his repeated requests for officers to check the bag, and his consistent focus on protecting the children rather than defending his own reputation. It became a textbook example of someone acting with genuine heroic intent. Marcus Thompson was charged with attempted mass murder, possession of illegal weapons, and conspiracy to commit terrorism. During his interrogation, he admitted that he had chosen Roosevelt Elementary specifically because he believed the security would be minimal and the casualties would be maximized. He also revealed that seeing Denzel Washington at the school had initially pleased him, as he thought having a celebrity witness would increase the media coverage of his attack. The story of Denzel's heroism spread rapidly across social media and news outlets, but the actor himself remained characteristically humble about his actions. In a brief statement to reporters, he said, "Any parent would have done the same thing if they had seen what I saw. The real heroes are the police officers who responded so quickly and the teachers who kept the children safe. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time with the right training to recognize a threat." Officer Chen and Rodriguez both received commendations for their professional handling of a complex and rapidly evolving situation. More importantly, the incident led to improved training protocols for law enforcement agencies across the country about how to quickly assess and verify claims about potential mass violence, even when those claims come from unexpected sources during confusing circumstances. Roosevelt Elementary School implemented new security measures following the incident, but the most significant change was the installation of a memorial plaque near the main entrance honoring Denzel Washington's heroism. The plaque reads, "In gratitude to Denzel Washington, whose courage and quick action on this site saved countless lives on March 15, 2024. True heroism means doing what's right when no one will understand your reasons." 6 months later, Denzel was invited to speak at a national conference on school safety, where he emphasized the importance of citizen awareness and intervention in preventing mass violence. "We can't rely on security systems and law enforcement alone to protect our children," he told the audience. "Every adult has a responsibility to be alert, to trust their instincts, and to act when they see potential threats, even if it means risking embarrassment or misunderstanding." The incident also strengthened Denzel's relationship with law enforcement communities across the country. Police departments regularly invited him to speak at training sessions about threat recognition and civilian cooperation. His message was always the same: heroes aren't people with special powers or training. They're ordinary citizens who choose to act when action is needed, regardless of the personal cost. Marcus Thompson was ultimately sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. During his sentencing hearing, the judge noted that Thompson's own manifesto provided clear evidence of his intent to commit mass murder, and that only Denzel Washington's intervention had prevented an unimaginable tragedy. "Mr. Thompson, you came within minutes of destroying hundreds of lives and devastating an entire community. The only reason you're not facing murder charges is because of one man's courage." For the families of Roosevelt Elementary, Denzel Washington became more than just a famous actor. He became a guardian angel who had protected their most precious gifts. The school's annual fundraising gala was renamed the Denzel Washington Heroes Dinner, with proceeds going to school safety initiatives and mental health programs designed to identify and help potential threats before they become violent. Today, when people ask Denzel about that afternoon at Roosevelt Elementary, he always redirects the conversation to the broader issues of school safety, mental health, and community responsibility. "The real tragedy," he often says, "would have been if no one had noticed, if no one had cared enough to act. We all have to be willing to be our children's protectors, even when it's uncomfortable, even when we might be wrong, even when others might judge us for trying." The story of Denzel Washington's 30-second heroic decision serves as a powerful reminder that sometimes the difference between tragedy and safety comes down to one person's willingness to act on their instincts. In a world where mass violence has become too common, his example shows that ordinary citizens, even famous ones, can make extraordinary differences when they choose courage over comfort, action over inaction, and children's safety over personal reputation. Sometimes being willing to look foolish is the price of being a hero.